The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling. I think the motto over the Supreme Court is equal justice under law. The oath that you and I take, pledge to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, not arbitrarily defined natural rights. But the notion that our rights do not come from our laws or our government should make people very, very nervous.
Nervous? Nervous about what exactly? Saying that our rights come from God should make us nervous? What a freaking joke. These Democrats are truly losing the plot. Here we have Democrats who have officially reached a point where they think America's founding principles are dangerous. During a Senate hearing, Tim Kaine actually argued that saying our rights come from God, not the government, is a radical idea. But Ted Cruz wasn't going to let that slide. Take a look.
I would actually encourage observers to go back and listen to what Senator Kaine said, because I have to say I think was disturbing and showed much of where today's Democrat Party has gone wrong. So Senator Kaine said in this hearing that he found it a radical and dangerous notion that you would say our rights came from God and not from government. I just walked into the hearing as he was saying that, and I almost fell out of my chair because that radical and dangerous notion, in his words, is literally the founding principle upon which the United States of America was created. And if you do not believe me, and you made reference to this, Mr. Barnes, then you can believe perhaps the most prominent Virginian to ever serve, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator. Not by government, not by the Democratic National Committee, but by God, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." I have to say it is stunning to me that the principle that God has given us natural rights is now deemed by Democrats some radical and dangerous notion. Mr. Jefferson was right when he wrote those words. Government exists to protect those rights. But slavery was not okay when U.S. law allowed it. It was wrong then, it is wrong now, it is always wrong.
Absolutely right. So let me ask you something here. When did believing our rights come from God suddenly become some dangerous extremist idea? Isn't that literally the foundation America was built on? Tim Kaine acts like this is some new radical concept. It's not at all. But I truly believe they want to push this idea so they can keep our nation divided and keep people believing the government is in control when it's only here to protect our rights.
Our rights come from God. They do not come from government. And King said we're coming to government to guarantee our unalienable rights. And that's a lie. These rights come from God. He said 5 times in that speech that we were not free. And that's why Black Lives Matter, Kaepernick, all these young Black people now are always marching and fighting and raising hell in the street because they think the government can give them their freedom. Ask them if they're free. No, I'm not free. So then King said, when will we be satisfied? He said, we will never be satisfied. Not until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. That's a fancy way of saying never. Jesus Christ said, my peace I leave with you. If you keep your mind on me, I'll keep you in perfect peace. And King is saying that unless the white man does this or that for us, we will never, ever have peace. It's an unchristian concept where you let another man control your peace.
Absolutely right. Look, our rights are endowed by our Creator, Jesus Christ to be exact, and our government only exists to protect them, not hand them out like they're doing us a damn favor. These people are truly delusional. What a freaking idiot. Seriously, how do you compare the United States to a regime like Iran and think you've just made a good point? Iran rulers use government power to deny those rights and oppress their own people. You freaking idiot. We are completely opposites from those evil SOBs. What a joke. Tim Kaine's comparison doesn't expose America's founding principle. It exposes how weak his arguments really is. When you have to compare the Declaration of Independence to one of the world's most oppressive regimes, you've already lost the debate. It's scary to actually think that so many on the left really seem to believe this nonsense. If they truly think our rights come from the government instead of being inherited, then those rights become whatever politicians decide they are. And if government can grant you freedom, it can just as easily take them away. That's exactly why the founders insisted our rights come from our Creator, not from whoever happens to hold power, you dimwit. That's why that principle protects every damn American, regardless of which party is in charge. Look, the moment we forget that, we hand politicians far more authority over our lives than they were ever meant to have. But leave it to these dimwits, they have you believe the government is the answer to everything. That's exactly the mindset many of us conservatives push back against. Look, America was founded on the idea of limited government, where individuals are free to make their own choices instead of relying on bureaucrats to run every aspect of our lives. The government's job is to protect our constitutional rights, not control our decisions or dictate how we should live. Point blank, period. What a freaking joke. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these dimwits are actually onto something here, and our rights actually come from the government. Let me know in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll catch you in the next one.